I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and welcome to our podcast, For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to our podcasts, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well.
The information presented on this program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
Are you suffering needlessly? Dr. Joe can give you advice on how to naturally get well and stay well. Dr. Joe Esposito.
So what we're talking about today is, why am I so hungry all the time? And one of the big reasons is that we just don't give our bodies enough nutrition. And that's really important. That's why the Super Greens, the essential source, are so important. But there's other reasons. We talked about spiking your blood sugar, eating sugar, and the sugar it causes the body to release insulin, which then takes all the sugar out of your blood, and then you get tired. But the big thing that I found, and it took me years to figure this one out, is I had a hiatal hernia. I didn't do a scope on it. I just based it on my symptoms. And so you have a sheet of muscle called your diaphragm, and below your diaphragm sits your stomach, and there's a hole in the diaphragm. And when you swallow food, it falls through the hole, goes into your stomach, the hole closes, you digest food, and it passes on to the small intestine. Well, what happens in a lot of folks, and in fact about 80% of the people we test in our offices have this condition, the stomach is pushed up into their diaphragm. And the stomach is now spasmed, and it's not digesting your food properly. So the food essentially sits in your stomach for too long, and it rots. And a lot of people, when they have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, chronic cough, sinus problem, the acid is coming up through their esophagus into their sinuses and throat. Now, that being said, it usually isn't all stomach acid. It's lactic acid. That's the rotten food. So when a food begins to rot, it gives off lactic acid. Lactic acid irritates your esophagus, irritates your throat, irritates your sinuses, and you're not digesting your food properly. So then the food sits there too long, goes into the small intestine. Small intestine can't do the stomach's job. It's a conveyor belt, and we start to have problems. Now, leptin is released, like we talked about. It goes to the hypothalamus and tells you that you're full. When your stomach pushes up against your diaphragm, even though your stomach hurts from so much food, you still want to keep eating. You're not getting the leptin up into the hypothalamus, into the brain. So by gently massaging the stomach down away from the diaphragm, every day patients report to us, wow, doc, I feel so much better. I'm not eating as much. My bloating is gone. My gas is gone. The acid reflux is gone. My chronic sore throat went away. Really is cool stuff that happens when you pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. Now, if you go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, I think go under its blog and then Dr. Joe's articles. And it's about the 5th or 6th article down, and you can read the technique that I've developed and that we use here. And it's really pretty cool. It's a neat little technique, and all my doctors are trained in it because they're treat me too. And I tell people all the time that my doctors, I'm very picky on who we hire, and all my doctors are usually as good or better than I am when it comes to technique, because I teach them. And the reason is I'm their patient. I want the best care that I can find, and so that's why I hire the doctors that I do. So we're talking today about why am I hungry all the time, and there's a lot of different reasons, but the hiatal hernia, the acid reflux, the heartburn, that was my biggie. Because I know if I'm eating and my stomach hurts and I just want to keep eating, we've all done that. Once I get one of my doctors to pull my stomach away from the diaphragm, it's like a miracle within minutes. I say, I'm satisfied now. Really is cool. And sometimes it's a one-shot deal, but very rarely. Usually it takes several visits to fix. So don't come in here thinking I'm going to pull your stomach down and you're going to go, woo, I'm fixed. It's not that easy. So, all right, other reasons why you're hungry all the time. You might have a condition called hypoglycemia. That means there's not enough fuel, or glucose is the sugar, the form of sugar that we use, in your blood, and it can make you feel weak, tired, or dizzy. It can happen if you haven't eaten in a few hours. I get that way. I know sometimes if I'm busy and I skip a meal, I start getting shaky. That's my first thing, is I notice my hand starts to shake. And I said, I'm to hypoglycemia. If you have the symptoms, you want to keep an eye on your blood sugar, and then you might want to eat something right away. And if you want it done quickly, something that's going to be absorbed quickly, which is a simple carbohydrate. I don't eat a lot of simple carbohydrates. So if I eat, it usually takes me about 10 or 15 minutes to kind of bounce back. Now, you need to eat a little more, or if your medication, you may need to be adjusted, because medication can also be a reason why you're hungry all the time. And this is something, too, I tell people, if you're taking blood thinners. Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source have something in it called vitamin K. And vitamin K can help your blood clot. So doctors will tell you, well, don't eat vitamin K, but vitamin K you get from vegetables, and so you need vegetables. So now you're in a pickle. So what do you do? So I tell people, listen, if you're going to start taking Super Greens and Essential Source, if you're going to start eating like you're supposed to, a lot of fruits and vegetables, what you want to do is have your doctor monitor your blood, and they can adjust your blood thinner medication accordingly. So instead of adjusting your food to meet your medication, what if we adjust the medication to meet our new healthy diet? It's the way I like to look at it. And the good news is this, that after a while, you may not need a lot of the medications because the body is now starting to function more efficiently. Don't come off your medication without your medical doctor's advice. I'm telling you straight up. But if you get healthy enough, I don't know a doctor in the world that is going to say stay on your medication. They're going to say, hey, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, and going to cut back your medication. So we're talking today about why am I hungry all the time? And as a chiropractor, patients come to us with all sorts of health problems, and many times patients come to me and my doctors and they say, well, I've been everywhere else. I'm stumped. I don't know what to do. Doctors don't know what to do with me. And so then we do a workup on them, and many times we get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms. And that's why I love being a chiropractor. I planned on being a neurosurgeon. My original plans would be a neurosurgeon. My father had a horrible accident before I was born. I talk about it in the last book I wrote called Prescription for Extreme Health. And he fell off a ladder, broke his back, and fractured his skull, went deaf instantly. So my father was deaf my entire life. And we didn't have a lot of money. And so we had to kind of deal with what we had to do, but we ate a lot of not junk food back then. There wasn't a lot of junk food. And there was a lot of sugar involved. And that's why my blood would crash and I'd get into the shakiness. So one of the reasons I ate a lot is because I ate bad foods. But again, we're talking about, I digress here. Sorry about that. We're talking about why you're hungry all the time. Another reason you might be hungry all the time is you could be pregnant. While some moms feel queasy if they eat too much, others may feel really hungry. And so if that's the issue, you think you might be pregnant, it doesn't hurt to go check it. So, back to the medication. That's where I was going with this. So with the medication, if you have blood thinners, you have to make sure that you adjust it accordingly and make sure that you're doing the right thing. And that's why I don't want you going against your doctors. Make sure the doctors know what's going on. And most doctors are very excited to see the patient get better. So I just want to reiterate that one more time. If you eat too fast, that may be why you're hungry all the time. When you wolf down your food, you might not give your body enough time to notice that you're full. Remember, what was the rule? How many minutes? 20 minutes. It takes 20 minutes to get the message from your stomach to your brain. So if you're eating a whole lot of food really fast, you may not notice that you're full for 20 minutes. So eating slowly is more satisfying, and you also want to chew your food. And I do this sometimes when I do live lectures. I'll say, when does digestion start? And people say, well, as soon as you put it in your mouth, as soon as it goes into your stomach. All right, so here's a little challenge for you. I want you to think of the biggest, juiciest lemon you could possibly imagine. You see it sitting in front of you? If you're driving, keep your eyes open, please. And you have this big, juicy lemon, and you roll it out on the counter, and it breaks up all the fibers in there, and you cut the lemon open. Oh, I'm doing this already. And you slice it in quarters, and it's big, and it's juicy, and it's really tart and sour. So in your mind, I want you to take this juicy, tart lemon and put it in your mouth and suck the juice out of it. What just happened? Did it happen like it did to me? You started salivating, right? So digestion starts when you think about food. So when food is laid out in front of you, it's nice to have a nice presentation because your body starts to release saliva. Saliva's job is to take carbohydrates and break them down into simple sugars. Then you chew the food. That's why you chew it mixed with saliva. It goes into your stomach, and your stomach has acid, and the acid starts to break down the proteins. And then it goes into the small intestine, where the pancreas releases things like pancreatic polypeptides, amylase, lipase, protease, and this helps the digestive system even further break down the foods. And then if you have a good healthy gallbladder, it squirts bile, and the bile helps break down the fats. And so you got to keep breaking these things down into their small components so that you can absorb them. And if you're eating too fast, you may not be starting the process properly, and so the food may not digest properly. And so that could be a reason why you're hungry all the time, and that's a lot of reasons why I can say fat. I used to be fat. Why fat folks are fat. Scientists actually put a number on something. It's called the satiety index. Higher ranked foods satisfy your hunger for the same calories. For instance, roasted potatoes are more filling than French fries. Some scientists figure that out. But I find that if you're eating something with fat in it, like nuts or avocados or coconut oil, Dr. Joe's Super Greens is an essential source with some coconut oil, the fat really makes you feel full longer. So you want to hit that high index to make you feel fuller longer for the same amount of calories. So if you ate 1,000 calories worth of donuts, you're not going to feel real full for very long. You eat 1,000 calories worth of cashews, you're going to feel full a lot longer. So you got to start thinking, what am I eating that's making me eat more? And it's usually foods that are not full of nutrients. And if they're devoid of nutrients, then you're going to be hungry sooner. Because again, when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food. You're hungry for nutrition. And you got to load your body up with tons of nutrition in order for the body to work properly. That's why I like Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Because it's super high concentrated nutrients. It's prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, complete multivitamin, great source of protein, B vitamins. A lot of us are deficient in B vitamins, especially if you're vegetarian like me or a vegan, you don't get a lot of B12. So I add B12 into this. So those supplements, again, I think you should take them. I think everybody should take them every day. You can go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, and you can get them there. Relatively inexpensive, about $2, $2.50 a day for a scoop of Super Greens and a scoop of Essential Source. Whole lot cheaper than a cup of coffee. Whole lot cheaper than a lot of the junk food you're wasting your money on. And if you start feeling better, you'll probably eat less food. And a lot of people end up saving money by giving themselves the proper nutrition. And those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. So let's keep talking about why you're hungry all the time. Maybe you saw or smelled something that you like. Maybe you saw an ad about ice cream or smelled some fresh baked cookies when you walked into the farmer's market. That could be enough to make you want to eat, whether you're hungry or not. So what I want you to do is start to look for triggers and then decide if you're going to eat it or not. So you just had lunch, you walk into a bakery, you smell the goods, and you say, oh my gosh, that's so good. A couple of weeks ago, I was up in Little Italy in New York. And there's some really good Italian bakeries that I grew up with this stuff. And I walked in and all these memories just came pouring back of the baba ganoush and the cannolis and the eclairs and the cookies and the baba rum. And it was just all these, just saying it, I had these wonderful memories of sitting at my Aunt Tessie's house, and the adults would drink espresso, and I'd give me a little sip, and I'd eat the cookies and the cakes. Oh, that was so good. Now, I just had lunch, and I thought, boy, I really could go for some of that. But A, I'm a vegan, so I knew I wouldn't eat it. But B, I knew it was a trigger. It triggered very happy memories, and dopamine was released in my brain, and I thought about my grandmother, my Aunt Tessie, and my mother, and my father came from a family of 10 kids, and all my cousins, and all these wonderful memories came flowing back, and I would love to have a cannoli. But I didn't, because I knew that was just a trigger. It was fake. So you got to start thinking about your emotions and maybe what you smelled or tasted or something that brought up a good memory. That's why you're eating it. If that's the case, enjoy the memory. I really enjoyed going down memory lane and thinking about my Aunt Tessie, walking up the steps to her house in Jersey City, New Jersey, and her husband, my Uncle Victor, and it was just wonderful. And it was just as wonderful with the cannoli as it was without the cannoli. And a lot of you are thinking, no, nothing is as wonderful as a cannoli. I know what you're thinking. I'm Italian. I know how good cannolis are. But I still got to enjoy the pleasure of it because it was still a lot of fun. So a lot more things to talk about here. Time flies, doesn't it? I don't know. I don't like this. I need about 4 or 5 hours every show, I guess. We're going to talk about how your emotions affect what you eat. We're going to talk about your thyroid and some of the things that can affect your thyroid, medications, not getting enough sleep. All these things could be reasons why you're hungry all the time. See, that's called in the radio business a tease. I got to tell you what we're going to talk about so you keep hanging on and you keep listening. Now, folks, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, we're a team of chiropractors. We have 6 of us here. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We would love the opportunity to help you stop suffering and to help you gain your health back. Every day when new patients come in the office, I'll sit down with them and I said, so what gives me this pleasure today? And many of them say, Doc, I want my life back. I want to be able to run again. I want to be able to play with my kids again. I want to be able to drive again. I want to be able to sit again. And I've listened to you for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and I don't know why I waited so long. And they apologize. I'm sorry I waited so long. So don't apologize to me. I've gotten chiropractic care since I was 18. But if you're ready to get well, if you want to get the nervous system working, fix the digestive system if we can, get the diet straightened out, I'll tell you what to eat, what not to eat, what supplements you might need aside from the Super Greens and the Essential Source. Make the appointment now. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. You can make an appointment online. You can send us an email. You can call us. We'll get you set up as soon as possible. We accept people, all insurances. We usually honor the insurance plan, Medicare, car accidents, sports injuries. We want to be your doctors. And we want you to say, like so many other patients have said in the past, why didn't I do this sooner? So if you're ready to get well, go to my website right now, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. So some more reasons as we continue. Why you're hungry all the time. Your emotions are in charge. How many people turn to comfort foods when they're upset, they're bored, they're sad, they're depressed? You might have heard it's called emotional eating. So what's your mood right before you eat? This again, I'm going to make you think. Sorry, you have to do some work here. If you're not really hungry, try doing something else. Just because it's dinner time, you don't have to eat dinner. Just because it's breakfast time, you don't have to eat breakfast. And if you find that you're feeling blue, stressed out, anxious, maybe you want to talk to a friend. Maybe you need a counselor. Many times, this ties into what we talked about earlier, you might have a hiatal hernia. Your stomach's job, as we said earlier, is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. Now, the amino acid tryptophan combines with vitamin B6, creates a chemical called 5-HTP, and 5-HTP becomes serotonin in your brain. Serotonin helps you calm down and focus. So many patients that are depressed, we give them medication called specific serotonin reuptake inhibitors to utilize the little bit of serotonin that they have. What if we just made more serotonin? Well, there's a novel idea. Well, Dr. Joe, how do we make more serotonin? Fix the stomach. Massage the stomach, get it to come out of spasm, get the stomach breaking proteins into amino acids. And then those amino acids can become tyrosine. Tyrosine becomes dopamine. Tryptophan becomes serotonin. So tyrosine becomes dopamine, gives you pleasure. Now you feel good about yourself again. You feel good about your relationship. You feel good about your life, your job, your family, your church. Not a bad thing. Glutamine, another amino acid, becomes norepinephrine, help you get some energy in the body, and it becomes GABA. GABA suppresses other neurotransmitters, including pain. So a lot of pain patients that we see in our offices, and we see a lot of pain patients, not patients that are pains, we see a few of them too, but pain patients that are in pain, we fix their digestive system, get them on a good diet, get them on Dr. Joe's Super Greens, get them on an Essential Source to alkalize the system, reduce the inflammation, fix the stomach so you're breaking proteins into amino acids. And now suddenly we're producing in more GABA. GABA suppresses the pain, and the patient feels better. And they think we're the coolest chiropractors who are on the face of the earth. We're some cool cats. When in reality, we just got their body producing the right amount of suppressive neurotransmitters called GABA. Did it make all sense to you? Yeah. Now listen, if you ever hear a show, you missed something or you couldn't listen to the whole show, I know some people actually have a life and they have to go do things aside from listening to my show. I can't imagine why. What could be more important? We're going to archive all our shows on my website, drjoeesposito.com, and just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world, and you'll be thrilled that you can pick topics that you want, listen to anything you'd like, as many times as you'd like, send them, cut and paste them, send them to your friends, let them hear what you're hearing, and let them help. You can help them get well and stay well. Really is a fun job, helping people get well. Other reasons why you're eating too much. You have an overactive thyroid. If you do, it can make you tired, nervous, moody, and hungry all the time. Talk to your doctor about this. Talk about your symptoms. You may need to get some blood work done. If you do, many times you can manage it. There are supplements you can take. One of the problems I find with underactive thyroid, or it could be an overactive thyroid too, is you expose yourself to something called haloids. Haloids are fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. Iodine is necessary for the thyroid to work normally. If you've exposed yourself to chlorine, fluorine, or bromine, which we can get from what? Tap water, toothpastes. Yeah, these are all sources of that. Commercial dough, Like you go to a fast food store and you go to get some bread. Many times they have bromine in it. That's a dose stabilizer. Fluorine, chlorine, and bromine can block up your iodine receptor sites, and so you can't absorb your iodine properly. Pretty cool stuff. So it's really important that you stay away from those foods and make sure you get enough iodine. A lot of people just don't get enough iodine. And many of you, if it wasn't for salt that was supplemented with iodine, you would get no iodine. Iodine, the best source of iodine is sea vegetables. That's why I add sea vegetables to Dr. Joe's Super Green and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, because I want to make sure you're getting enough iodine. Most people don't. Okay? And that could be a reason why you're hungry all the time. Medications can affect your appetite. Those include things like depressing medications, mood disorders, along with antihistamines, antipsychotics, corticosteroids. So if you're taking these drugs, tell your doctor you're hungrier after taking the new medicine, but don't stop taking the medicine on your own. I always want to be clear with my patients. I'm not here to tell you to take drugs or not take drugs. I'm here to get you well so you don't have to take the drugs. Different approach to health, isn't it? Getting to the cause of the problem and not just treating the symptoms. And this is why so many medical doctors, orthopedists, neurologists, neurosurgeons, psychiatrists refer their patients to us. Because the days of doctors not liking each other, those are pretty much gone. You know, chiropractors don't like medical doctors and orthopedic surgeons don't like neurosurgeons. And those days are gone. Everybody's kind of getting along real nice lately. I've been in practice 34 years. Trust me, I know, I can tell you what used to happen. And the days are gone. So we're all getting along now, referring to each other, co-managing the case. I was at a party the other day with a bunch of chiropractors, and it was sponsored by an orthopedic group and a law group and a hospital MRI company. And it's kind of neat because everybody now says, wait a minute, we can actually all work together. So the patient gets better care. Everybody makes more money. The patient spends less money because they're seeing the doctors that they need to get care. Insurance companies save money. There's no downside to getting to the cause of your problem. And that's pretty cool. I mean, how archaic. There was actually a time where chiropractors or anyone but an MD couldn't even order an MRI. Now you can call up an MRI center and walk in yourself. You weren't allowed to. Now you are. So the days of everybody fighting are pretty much gone. You, the patient, are the ones who win the most. You get better care for less money and quicker results if you pick the right doctors. And that's always the key. Make sure you get a doctor that's specific for your condition and somebody who's going to look out for your best interest. My personal feeling, I want to make sure you check the nervous system because pinched nerves can affect not only pain, but can affect the function of the organs. I always want to check your digestive system because you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. We may have to massage or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. And we have that on my website, drjoeesposito.com. It's under articles. Go blog and then Dr. Joe's articles. And it's on GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. That's the article you want to read. And then we want to make sure you're getting the right nutrition. Stay away from the bad foods, the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, the ones that make you hungry and tired. Eat more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. At least take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Don't knock them till you try them, folks. I promise you. And it's some good stuff. And now you have a healthcare plan, not an insurance plan, a healthcare plan. And if you have a healthcare plan, chances are you won't need so much insurance. And then as we run out of time, lack of sleep. Lack of sleep changes the balance of your ghrelin and your leptin, and that can make you eat a lot more. It may also make you more likely to reach for snacks with higher calories because you just want to give yourself a little burst of energy. You're shooting for long-term health, not a short-term high. If that's your goal, is to get well and stay well, that's what I'd like for the goal to be. And when you come into our offices, if we do phone consultations with you, my goal is always what's going to be the best for you long-term. I don't want to get you high real quick. I want to get you healthy forever. So, folks, if you want to make an appointment to come see us for neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive problems, nutritional issues, acid reflux, heartburn, we'd love to be your doctors. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. So if you can go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. We will set you up a time to come see us. You can do it online. You can call us. We honor most insurance plans, Medicare, car accidents. I have never seen a car damaged ever with the occupant's warrant. And almost every day, patients walk in our offices and say, Doc, I heard you say that 1,000 times, and I just got in an accident, and now I know what you're talking about. So if you want to see us, folks, we'd love to see you. drjoeesposito.com. Just Google Dr. Joe. You can order Super Greens, an essential source there. You can get it on Amazon as well. Hey, thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening to For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well. You can also listen to and call into my radio show live Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 Eastern Time on WSBRadio.com and on a WSB Radio app.